Hey guys, this is Rajesh Trivedi from Alert. Alert is an NGO that works towards a better emergency response ecosystem, marching steadily towards the goal set for it by the former President of India, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, who said, one in every family needs to be trained in emergency care so that common people like you and me can feel empowered to save lives. Until the recent episodes, the last episodes, we saw what is it that you and I can do as first response during some common medical emergencies. In this episode, we're going to speak through something called basic life support. Imagine what if suddenly somebody collapsed in front of you, or suddenly somebody just fell unconscious. Irrespective of what caused it, it could have been a sudden cardiac arrest, it could have been a heart attack, it could have been for any other medical reason. But just imagine that somebody just collapsed in front of you. And what do you do during that time? What is the basic fundamental medical care that a first responder or a common person like you and me can provide until the ambulance arrives or until any professional help arrives is called basic life support. The basic life support has a set of steps and procedures to be followed, and I will walk you through that. The very first thing is to ensure scene safety. Before you get into a scene to handle the scene or to help the victim in any fashion, you got to ensure to the extent possible the scene is safe. Now, as I said, the emergency could have been anything. So the basic minimum steps that you will have to take before you present yourself into the scene should be your first priority. Specifically during the COVID times, that is in the current times, one of the things to keep in mind as part of scene safety is to wear the PPE before you get into an emergency situation, or bare minimum the masks that we are all advised to wear by the medical fraternity before we actually go and help somebody. The next immediate step is check for responsiveness. Any person who is conscious or even semi-conscious responds to basic stimuli. But to check whether the person is conscious or not, you can simply check for responsiveness by gently tapping on the shoulder and shouting the person's name loud. And that is if you know the name of the person. If not, you can just shout anything. All you're doing is you are using the stimuli of touch and sound to check whether the person is responding or not. The third step from here is if the person is bare minimum even unable to respond to this fundamental stimuli, then it is time for you to ask for help. When I say help, you could ask for people who are around to come gather with you, help you, because you're going to have a series of steps to perform. And the immediate instruction that needs to go out is to activate the emergency management system. As far as India is concerned, it is 108. It can be any EMS system that works depending on geography. Now, once that is done, you have triggered the EMS system, the next immediate thing is for you to check whether the person's vitals are okay. When you say vitals, we mean the person's breathing or pulse. Now, you should not take anything more than 10 seconds to do this. You just need to observe to see if there is any raise in the or any movement on the chest or abdomen of the person, or you can use your fingers to place it on simultaneously place it on the neck to check whether the pulse is feelable or not. Now, after this, there are only a few logical things that can happen. If you observe that the person is breathing, and probably he did not respond to your stimuli, respond to your touch or sound, but he is breathing, then you put him in a position which is called the recovery position. I will run you through how exactly to put a person in recovery position, and then we will speak through why should we be doing that. To put a person in recovery position, you are already kneeling down next to the person because you just checked all the previous steps in the BLS procedure. In the same way, you take one arm that is towards you of the victim and bend it at the elbow and have the arm positioned facing upwards in the form of, it will be in the shape of a L shaped. Okay. You take the other arm which is far from you bend it once again at the elbow and place it at the shoulder that is towards you, which is like a Y shape, V shape or a Y shape of the arm. Once these two steps are done, you just gently turn the face of the victim to rest on his own arms, that is towards you, and you use two of your hands, take the leg that is farther from you, bend it at the knee, and take your hand and place it on the shoulder point opposite to you on the victim. With these 2 points, call it one as point A on the shoulder, call the other point on the knee as point B, and with these 2 points, you slowly turn the victim over to your side. Once you have turned the victim over to your side, you just ensure that the arm that is under his head is slightly adjusted to ensure that his head is resting neatly on the arm and probably the head is touching the ground. And you gently open up, lift the chin so that the person who continues to breathe. We are doing this because the person is breathing. He needs to continue to breathe. And also ensure that the leg that has been, once you have turned the person, that the leg is towards you, you bring it even more forward, help the person, sleep sideways like that in a very relaxed manner. So this is recovery position, and it has a few intrinsic benefits of making the person lay down in a recovery position rather than lying flat facing upwards. One of the primary benefits of putting a person in recovery position is because the head in this position is below the level of the heart. And in an unconscious person, one thing that tells us is the victim needs more oxygenated blood to reach the brain. So when the head is below the level of the heart, the oxygenated blood will naturally flow more towards the brain. The other thing that you did before you finished the person, putting him in recovery position, you slightly lifted the chin up, and what it does is it opens up the airway, clears the airway, keeps the airway open so that the victim can continue to breathe in that position. The other important advantage of putting him sideways and the head facing the ground is also to ensure that in case the person has puked or vomited or any other fluid is flowing out, it will simply come out rather than go inside, purely because of the pull of the gravity and the fact that the person's mouth could be open. Okay, so this is recovery position you put the person into when the person is unconscious and probably he is breathing. The next immediate thing, the other thing that you could observe when you're doing this, the vitals check, is that the person has a definitive pulse but he is gasping for breath. In such a case, you provide rescue breath only once in 5 seconds by using the ambo mask. The mask is used here so that you are totally protected. The mouth-to-mouth resuscitation is a sure shot no-no that has been recommended by fraternities all over the world. So use the ambo mask to give one breath every 5 seconds. Like that, you can give 12 breaths within 1 minute. Now, the third condition that can happen is in case there is no pulse, and when you observe, you also see that there is no breathing, right? In such a case, then you start off something what is called as bystander CPR. CPR standing for cardiopulmonary resuscitation. Now, CPR is a certain procedure and a technique that is so powerful and known to the medical fraternity and the mankind today, that is to be rendered when the vitals have totally failed, because it performs a very basic function of ensuring that the brain functions until ambulance arrives. Okay. Now let me talk you through how to provide a bystander CPR. While there are two components to giving CPR, in the bystander CPR, we are going to take up as a proxy, which is as a helper, as a first responder, take up the activity of the heart. The heart is responsible for the circulation of blood. So you're going to help the circulation by ensuring that you do what is called compressions on the heart from outside. For which, one, you need to locate the heart, which is at the center of the chest. right? So you place your once you have located the heart, which is at the center of the chest, you place one hand, the heel of the palm, on the center of the chest. Use your other hand to lock the fingers, and you come perpendicular to the victim in such a way that when you look down, you are 90 degrees to the victim who is lying flat on the ground. Now in that position, you start giving compressions. By compressions, we mean you apply pressure at that point 2 inches deep and allow for the chest to recoil 2 inches back up. So doing one such compression means going down 2 inches and recoiling 2 inches. So in this fashion, you should be completing 30 compressions, okay, which makes one cycle. Now, what is the rate at which you have to give these compressions? Is normally a person in a heart beats 72 times a minute. Now here is an abnormal situation, and you are giving CPR and helping in the circulation from the outside. So the international recommendation for that goes as you got to give it at the speed of as if the heart was beating at least 100 times a minute, right? So at the speed of 100 compressions per minute. Now all of you would have heard this song, this famous song, Staying Alive. Now you got to give compressions to the beat of that song. So 30 compressions at the rate of 100 per minute, 2 inches deep, recoiling 2 inches back. Now by the time you finish 5 cycles, you would have done this in about 2 minutes, okay? Now by then, remember in the first step, in the first few steps, you asked for help and you also called the ambulance. So the ambulance should be on its way. Now if the ambulance arrives in any part of the cycle that you are in while giving CPR, you can please hand over, stop there and hand over the victim to the ambulance, because you got better qualified people to take charge of the situation. Or you could probably stop doing CPR if you observe that the victim is coming around, you see movement, the person starts to talk, and if he starts talking, talk to him back reassuringly. Or 3, you are suffering out of so much fatigue that if you continue, in case it just happens that you collapse, right, and you are suffering so much out of fatigue, then you probably stop giving CPR. So in these 3 conditions, you stop giving CPR. If not, you continue to give the bystander CPR until one of the 3 happens for better survival of the victim. So my dear friends, now this is a very simple procedural step which anybody can learn and master it. And this can save so many lives, because many a times when vitals get questioned, the immediate action in the first few minutes, the lack of it is what is ending up as loss of life for so many people, not just in India, but around the world. So through the 5 episodes that we traveled together, I'm sure you have learned some basic and fundamental aspects of emergency response management and what is it that you and I can do to save more lives. Now there is more to it, and if you can equip yourselves with so many more things, you can go read about it. At the same time, we are here, Alert is here with the core purpose of empowering, helping people feel more empowered to save lives. So enroll into any of our programs that is constantly being announced in our handles, on our website and on all our social media handles. And we owe this to ourselves, because we cannot let another life be lost because of lack of help. Now, I'm also glad to share with you that Alert has launched something called Volunteers in Case of Emergency, VOICE, where common people like you and I are put through a rigorous, intense training program in the entire emergency response management with a complete hands-on, and at the end of it are inducted into a first responders network, which is front-ended by a mobile application called Alert Voice, so that anybody who needs help anywhere can simply use the voice app to reach out to a certified responder who could be in a certain defined geographical radius. So we welcome you to join that program as well, which is currently implemented in India and for India. So with that, we will meet more and more through our programs. So thank you so very much. And just a reminder, that all of us, this is not something which is to feel responsible about some stranger in the society. We owe this to ourselves. So my dear friends, let's let our compassion gain wings by getting ourselves more empowered, and let us save more lives. Thank you.